Welcome to Sauk Valley Media's Pigskin Primer for Week 1 of the high school football playoffs. I'm Sports Editor Dan Waisner alongside Assistant Sports Editor Christopher Heimerman, and we've come to the best time of the year, the high school football playoffs. We have 6 teams playing with hopes of winning a state title. We are at Roscoe East Stadium today, and on Saturday the Newman Comets will be hosting the Erie Prophetstown Panthers in a round 1 game in Class 3A. Seems like we've seen this one before, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a couple weeks ago in Week 8, and maybe a better game than some people would have predicted, but that's been the story of Erie Prophetstown's season so far, and they hung with them, tied 14 apiece at the half, and then Newman able to kind of, impose its Newman will on them in the second half, start shutting them down on first down a little bit, and was able to pull away with a 35-20 win. But like you said, that's just one of the 5 games we've got this weekend. It feels like we're already in Week 2 of the playoffs after Friday night.
Yeah.
So many great games. 3 games with conference titles hanging in the balance, and Friday night delivered probably more than I could have even predicted.
You were at Newman Amboy. That one came down to the wire. The Clippers seemed like they had that one.
Yeah.
But they, bad pun, they kind of fumbled it away a little bit.
Yeah, 5 turnovers
Yep.
is really what it comes back to. And, as I wrote in my column, it seemed like both teams made more errors than we've come to expect from those teams. But, when the intensity is ratcheted up like that, it's going to happen. Kids are going to make mistakes. Now going forward, I think both of those teams can stand to benefit from, I'm not crazy about the phrase get it out of your system, but I guess getting that playoff taste into your system and having that feel in Week 9 of the regular season, I think both are going to stand to benefit going forward. They've had a taste of that do or die type of game already.
Well, I think Amboy may have the best draw of any of our teams for the first round. They're playing a North Shore Country Day team. I believe it's only the second year they've made the playoffs. Last year they played in 1A. I think they lost to Forreston pretty handily.
Mm-hmm.
I would think Amboy's physicality is going to be too much for North Shore Country Day. As long as they can avoid those turnovers or any huge mistakes, I think they run away with that one in Amboy on Saturday.
I think you're right. I don't think North Shore Country Day has seen anything like the Amboy defense they're going to run into this weekend.
All right. The other big conference game was Sterling, Ottawa. The Warriors were up 21, I believe it was 21-7.
Yeah.
And they just kind of let that one slip away. Ottawa had lost Michael Hermosillo in the second quarter.
Yep.
Things looked to be going Sterling's way.
Mm-hmm.
They come out after half, Hermosillo's back. Ottawa scores, I think was it 3 straight touchdowns, go up 28-21. Mm-hmm. And all Sterling could do is kick a field goal to get within 3 points, and then they couldn't punch it in from 1 yard out in 4 plays, and that's killer in a game like that.
Yeah, and Schlemmer admitted that Saturday night. When I chatted with him, there's a lot of glaring things you can point to why they didn't win that game. If you're Sterling, get angry. Get angry at yourself and take it out on Woodstock North this upcoming weekend. And I think that's not a bad matchup for them. Obviously, it's a 7-10, so they're going to be pretty evenly matched teams. I think Sterling is capable of going on the road and beating Woodstock North, but you got to take away those glaring mistakes. And when you do get the ball down at down on the goal line in a short yardage situation, maybe put your quarterback under center and just ram it down their necks with the QB sneak. Hopefully fool me once. Hopefully it won't happen again to them.
And Woodstock North's a little bit of an unknown quantity.
Yeah.
This is the only 4th year they've had a football program. 2nd year in a row they've made the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of the cool story with them, the seniors on this team, they're sort of they're the guys that started this program, and a few of them have been starting for 3 years, so they want to go out on a high note. For Sterling, Woodstock North's an option team. They're a grounded out team, and that plays into what Sterling's played against for most of the season. So they're not going to see anything real new. So that should help them up there to Woodstock on a Saturday night, 7 o'clock. Kind of a weird start for a playoff game.
It works out well for us, and for the fans out there, you can kind of stagger your schedule. You can see the early games, check out Amboy, on your way to Woodstock. So hopefully people take advantage of that. Sterling's seen the option. They've also struggled against the option. And like you said, those Woodstock North, kind of the guys who have been carrying the flag for the program, they're going to come out on fire. But I think that's going to be one of the more intriguing matchups on Saturday.
Going back to last Friday, Eastland Pearl City pulled off a huge win over Forreston, scored a touchdown with 18 seconds left to win the NUIC Northwest.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't get a real great draw for the first round.
No.
They got saddled with a 5-4 Orion team out of the West Central Conference. A lot of our teams have seen Orion in the past in the playoffs, and they've always put up a fight. Sometimes they've lost, and that's going to be a tough one for EPC on Saturday.
Yeah, EPC in the past few years has been running into the Big Rivers teams that have been knocking them out. Meanwhile, the Big Rivers teams have been, just barely getting by Orion. Very, very dangerous team. The only team that Orion has failed to put up at least 21 points against was Alleman, who they lost 47-0 to. Throw that out the window. Alleman's in a completely different class from the teams we're talking about. Yeah, I think EPC is going to be up against it, and they're going to have to play perhaps their best defensive game of the season in order to get by them. I think they will. I think that they're going to pull out a victory in that game, but holy smokes, it's going to be tight, and they're going to have to put up some points of their own.
The other playoff team we have is Morrison. They got a tough draw too. They're basically facing what you would call almost a top seed in Mercer County.
Yeah.
Probably the favorite to win the state title in 2A, or at least one of the favorites. The Mustangs are coming off a win over Bureau Valley, which was sort of a playoff game. Yeah. Mustangs looking for an extra win. They were hoping to get a better seed, and it didn't quite work out. They're playing Bureau Valley, who wanted to win to get in, and Morrison came out with the win, and now they got to deal with a Mercer County team.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, again, Mercer County scoring points in absolute bunches this season. And Morrison went against an Amboy team a few weeks ago. When they slipped to 2-3, or excuse me, 3-3 at the time, and they struggled, to prevent Amboy from hammering away and winning that game late. I'm afraid for the Morrison fans out there, I'm going to see this being as a similar kind of a game, that Mercer County, I think, is just going to have too many weapons. We've talked about it since Morrison won the state title last year. They graduated so many key parts to that football team. So, I think they absolutely come into this game as the underdog. And, oftentimes if you've got a Corey Beelum, a team that comes in as the underdog, you're not going to write them off by any stretch. But they've got their work cut out for them. I would definitely take Mercer County in the game, but again, I'm not going to count out the Mustangs.
And Mercer County was actually one of the teams we thought last year Morrison would have to go through to get to the state final game.
Right.
Mercer County ended up bowing out, I believe, in the quarterfinals.
Is that the Stark County?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
And so then Morrison went on and beat Stark County, fairly handily, and then obviously went on to win the state title. So it's sort of the match we didn't get up last year. Unfortunately, the Mustangs don't have exactly the team they had last year.
Right.
But they're still strong defensively.
Mm-hmm.
So that should help them keep in it. And then if they can hit a few big plays, Danny Willis, as big of a playmaker as we have in the area this year.
It's fun to watch.
So you never know what's going to happen. I guess now it's time to kind of make some bold predictions on all these games. Let's start with Newman Erie Prophetstown.
Newman EP, unfortunately for the folks in Erie and the folks in Prophetstown, I think Newman learned so much from that first matchup. They haven't seen a whole lot of option teams this season. Obviously, that's what the Panthers are going to thrive on. And Mike Poposi said it himself, if they cut down the yardage on first down, they will have success in this football game, and it shouldn't be as competitive as last time. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take Newman by 3 scores. I'm going to take them 34-14, comparable to the 35-20 decision, only I think Newman's going to do a better job on first down this time around.
It's always hard in football when you play a team a second time.
Yeah.
Anything can happen. It could end up being a blowout, but Erie Prophetstown, they might have picked up a few things too in that last game, and they stayed close, and sometimes that might have took off some of that rub they had on Newman. You look Newman Morrison the last couple of years have had that, they're in the playoffs, they're going to win a state title. Mm-hmm. It's tough for a team like EP to go and play them that first time, and it's intimidating. Maybe some of that's off now on Newman because EP was able to stay with them. I think it's going to be a little bit closer game than that, but I do think Newman wins, probably 24-12.
Okay.
How about Sterling Woodstock North? I've kind of told a bunch of people this week I think this is kind of a push game.
Mm-hmm.
I would probably lean towards Sterling just kind of as an alum.
Sure. There's nothing wrong with
that.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be 2017. Sterling plays low-scoring games. If it gets to a high-scoring game, I think Sterling's in trouble. So yeah. I think it's 2017. They've got good special teams. They've got good kickers, so they can kick those field goals, extra points. Mm. Not every team has that luxury.
Unfortunately, I think that there are going to be a few more points scored in the game, which, as you said, probably plays in Woodstock North's favor. And like you said, it's such a close game that when I think about a game that could be a push, I tend to lean toward the home field advantage. Sterling's got to travel and play on Woodstock North's home turf, and I think that the Thunder are going to find a way to eke this one out. I'm looking at a 34-29 finish in that football game.
Well, turning towards Amboy, from what we talked about earlier, I think we both feel like this could get a little ugly. I think Amboy, punishes North Shore Country Day a little bit, ends up something like 36-14 6 or something like that, with North Shore maybe getting a score late against Amboy's second team.
And again, we come back to going into this game angry. And it's funny. I heard last night. I did some reconnaissance, I guess you might say. We were at the stables in Dixon, and we were chatting with the bartender, and he mentioned that Tank came into the bar the Thursday night before that Newman game and said his players were angry and they were fired up and ready to go. If you think they were angry then, think about what the Clippers are like after falling short against Newman last Friday. I think you're absolutely right. They're going to impose their will on the football game. I don't quite see them scoring 36 points, but I'm looking at more of a 34-6. So pretty doggone close. But what I had down was 34-6. Again, one thing that Amboy is going to need to figure out in the long term, sounds very small, but they're going to have to learn how to convert the PATs. Something I've seen them twice this season, I've seen them struggle with. So, if they can come up with 35 or 36 points and go clean on those PATs, I think that could definitely be something that down the road could be absolutely crucial for them when they get into more of those push matchups.
Turning to Morrison, Mercer County. Mercer County can't be real happy with this draw just because they know that Morrison's got that tradition behind them.
Yep.
But like you said, Mercer County is going to score a lot of points, and I don't think that plays into Morrison's hand.
Yeah.
I think Morrison keeps it close, especially in the first half, but I think Mercer County pulls away probably 28-12, 28-16, something like that.
I've got 34-20. The same sort of spread. I think you're absolutely right. I think down the stretch, the horses of Mercer County are just going to be too much. And the beauty of high school football and what Corey Bielema has continued to build on there is they're going to reload. The future is obviously very bright for Morrison. This is just one of those rare seasons where literally, the kids within the school district just aren't there to make a deep run. But hopefully the game's a little bit closer than what we figured. But I see a 2-score differential as well.
Turning to 1A, or actually 2A, it's still Eastland Pearl City.
Yeah.
Playing Orion. If the Wildcats want to win this, they have to control the ball. If Orion's out there throwing the ball around, makes it a track meet, I don't think EPC wins that game. But if EPC can control the ball like they've shown for most of the season,
yep.
Long drives that end with touchdowns, take 6, 7, 8 minutes off the clock, they can win. So I think they could take it, but it's going to be like 24-18, something like that.
So you're going with Orion in the game?
EPC.
Oh, you are taking EPC. All right. I also have them by a score as well. Yeah. I'm going 27-20 for the very same reasons. Ball control. The best defense against a team like Orion is keeping their offense off the field, pretty plain and simply. And I get why you refer to it as a 1A game. Is EPC's played against so many 1A teams this season. Being able to beat a very, very good 1A team, and Lena Winslow a few weeks ago I think showed what EPC is capable of. Going to need a similar performance, probably even taking it to another level to make it to the second round, in which case we could be looking at EPC Amboy. How much fun would that be?
Well, we've seen it before. It hasn't turned out good for EPC, but I think they're a more physical team than they've been in the past too, and they've got some size across the line of scrimmage, which has hurt them against Big Rivers teams who usually have some monsters across that line of scrimmage who dominate, and that's really hurt them, especially last 3 seasons against Morrison, where they had the McDonald brothers and those guys just kind of wreaking havoc. Well, I think we've come to our conclusion here, folks. Make sure you check out the paper each day this week. We're going to have all kinds of pigskin love for the playoffs, 12-page preview tab, features every day. And then in Monday's paper will be our annual 12-page, recap of those games. We'll have a video. We have all kinds of stuff. Check it out. We'll see you next week.
Saturday's going to be a blast. We'll see you at the games.